Alrighty, we are going to continue on with our exploration of division today. We've learned that division is repeated subtraction and makes groups smaller. Today we're going to take a look at some real-life examples of that happening. So here is our success criteria for division.
Hi, third grade. Today we're going to continue with our math learning target 3C3, representing the concept of division of whole numbers. This time we're going to be using sharing, the sharing method. I would like for you to watch the video, the BrainPop video, and then discuss with your class what goes in the blank. Division is sharing blank amounts so that every group has a fair share.
Alrighty, so you're going to tell me what word is missing after we watch this BrainPop video. Division is sharing blank amounts so that every group has a fair share. So what word is missing that would make it fair? Alrighty, here we go.
All right, you goons, we did it. We got away with 3 of the biggest capers in history. When we get back to the hideout, we'll divvy up the loot, and we'll all be rich. Rich, I tell you. When we're through, boys, we'll all be driving new Packards and listening to the biggest radios they make. Okay, first order of business. Let's divide the loot from the first job. Hot diggity, just look at all that ice. We got diamonds, 20 of them. Now let's see, there was 4 of us participated in the heist. Crusher, Bruiser, Moby, and me. If we divide things up equally, we each get... Wait a second, how do we divide 20 diamonds evenly among 4 people? Well, yeah, we need to use division to figure it out. Division is basically the splitting of large numbers into equal groups of smaller numbers. In our case, we're trying to divide our loot in between the 4 of us so that we have an equal share. Well, in division, all these numbers have special terms. The number being divided is called the dividend. Here, the dividend is 20 for our 20 diamonds. The number you're dividing by is called the divisor. Here, the divisor is 4, since we have 4 people. And the answer you get is called the quotient. Our quotient is 5. So each of us gets 5 diamonds. Holy mackerel, 15 gold coins. Pretty soon we're all going to be dancing the Lindy Hop on the Queen Mary. Now let's divide them up. What's up, little Jimmy? Okay, fair is fair. You tipped us off to this big score, so we'll divide these coins up 5 ways. Now let's see. How many times can we divide 15 by 5? Yep, you got it. We can divide 15 coins into 5 groups of 3 coins apiece. And you can check your answer by multiplying the quotient by the divisor. If your answer is the dividend, you've done it right. Let's see, 3 times 5 equals 15. Yep, we've got it. That's because division is sort of like the opposite of multiplication, in the same way that subtraction is the opposite of addition. And now for the last part of the haul. 21 pocket watches. Why, we'll be taking flappers to the Autobot until... Ooh, cheese it, guys, it's Lieutenant Rita. I mean, we just acquired these 21 lovely watches. And since there's 7 of us, including you and Sergeant Cassie, we could, divide the loot 7 ways. Let's see, 21 watches for 7 people. 21 divided by 7 is 3. So that's 3 watches apiece for each of us, including you 2. Oh, why did I think I could get away with this? Becoming a 1930s gangster was a really bad career choice. Of course, it could work for Halloween.
Alrighty, you were asked to think about a statement. That statement was, division is sharing blank amounts so that every group has a fair share. What do the amounts have to be in division? What kind of... Christopher?
It's supposed to be equal.
They are supposed to Equal. That is a fancy word for same. So yes, division is sharing equal amount. So every group has a fair share. That is correct. So we're working with equal groups, just like we did in multiplication, but now we're going to break down an amount into smaller equal groups, okay? Here is an example of an equal group equation with division as sharing.
Hopefully you were able to pick up from the video that division is sharing equally among groups. Here you can see a model of 6 groups, and each group contains 2 dots. This is an example of how to share equally. Each of the 6 groups has 6 dots, and so the division sentence that would go with this is you would count up all the dots that you have all together. You have 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 2 more is 6, plus 2 more is 8, plus 2 more is 10, plus 2 more is 12. So we have 12 dots all together. Those 12 dots were put into 6 groups. Group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as we can see, each of the groups has 2 dots.
Alrighty, so this is how we would use an equal group picture, which is familiar to us for multiplication, to represent division. Instead of looking at the number of groups first, we're going to look at the total number of items first. Here's how this could look if we were going to create equal groups.
Okay, let's see that in reverse now. We start with 21 objects. We're going to divide those into 3 groups based on the division sentence we have. 21 divided by 3 equals what? So we're going to try to figure out how many will go in each of the groups. So let's start with 21 objects. Let's go to our shapes, and I'm going to use hearts. Okay, copy. Okay, here are my 21 objects, and I need to put those into 3 groups. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. I have a feeling I'm going to need larger groups than that. So let's make this one larger. Okay, and now we're ready to take and divide up all of these hearts into the 3 groups, and we need to make sure that they're equal. So I'm going to grab a couple and put them over here. So that's 3 in that one. So let's go ahead and make sure we put 3 in this one, 3 in this one. Okay, still have some hearts to divide up, so I'm going to put 3 more here. Always making sure I'm putting an equal amount in each group. Okay, looks like I have 3 hearts left and 3 groups. So I'm going to put 1 more in each of the groups to make sure every group has the same amount. Now I can count how many I have in each of my groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in that group. Should have 7 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So as you can see, we took 21 hearts, divided them into 3 groups, made sure each group had an equal amount, counted to make sure that we had the same amount in each group, and we do. So we can put our quotient of 7 because 21 hearts divided into 3 groups means that there's 7 hearts in each group.
Alrighty, so this is how you would create an equal groups representation of sharing in division. Are there questions about what you saw where you were reading an equal group picture or where you were creating an equal group picture? We're going to get some practice with this today, but I wanted to make sure there weren't any questions first. Okay.
Okay, here are some other examples. Let's look at the first one with the unicorn erasers. Remember, we have to share the unicorn erasers equally. We have 20 unicorn erasers, and we're going to divide them up by 5 people. So we're trying to figure out how many erasers each person will get. So I'm going to go ahead and start grabbing these and putting them into these groups below. 5, you can see I've got the 5 groups, 5 purple circles below. So I'm going to just start dividing these out. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. Keep going until they're all gone. And see how many we have in each group. And separate this out so this unicorn doesn't get confused. Okay, here we go. And there we go. All right, we can see now that if we take 20 unicorn erasers shared equally amongst 5 people, so let's just think about what that would look like as an equation. 20 total erasers divided by 5 people or 5 groups. You can see, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 unicorns. Looks like we have 4 unicorns in each group. So 4 erasers per person, which means 20 divided by 5 gives you a quotient of 4. And as you can see, we didn't have any left over in this case. However, sometimes we might have some left over. Let's take a look at this example here of the pennies and the children. So if we remember that division is equal sharing and all groups must have a fair share, we cannot give any one person more than another. So let's start dividing up our pennies and see what happens. 1, 2, I'm going to give 2 to her, 2 to him, 2 to her. Make sure everybody starts with 2. Let's see how that looks. Okay, looks like I can do 1 more to each person. That makes everybody have 3. Okay, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. And let's see, I have only 2 pennies left, but I have 6 kids. I cannot give any of these kids the leftover pennies because I have to make sure that every kid gets a fair share. Equal sharing. Division is all about equal sharing. So each child is going to get 3 pennies, making sure it stays equal. And there are going to be 2 left over. If you ever have any left over, you just call it your leftover or your remainder. It's how many you had left. In this case, we had 2 left over that we could not divide equally amongst the 6 kids.
Okay, so this is how we would share or divide items in real life. This is a great example of doing that in real life. Today, you have an assignment that we are going to complete partially together and some independently. That assignment has been released to you in your activities. It is called Division as Equal Sharing. Division as Equal Sharing. Please go to your activities, and then again, you'll probably want to make your screen half so that you can see Seesaw and Zoom at the same time. Go ahead and click on that Add Response. You will notice there are quite a few slides. There are 9 slides. We're going to work on some of these together, and you're going to work on some independently. We're going to look at slide number 1, and we have an example video of instructions from Ms. Thaxton. So let's take a listen to that.
On slides 1 and 2, you're going to be given a set of groups. You're going to come up with the division sentence that goes with that set of groups. Remember, you start with the total number of items, or in this case, dots, and then you divide that by the number of groups that you have. And the quotient is how many ends up in each group.
Okay, so let's start out by using our pin tool. Our dividend is going to be how many dots we have all together. I can see here that we have 4. Plus another 4 is 5, 6, 7, and 8. If I'm writing, I want you to be writing. 9, 10, 11, 12. So now I have 12. 13, 14, 15, 16. So I have 16 dots. That's what I'm going to start out with as my dividend, is 16. Aiden Hampton, you need to be with us, sir. Our divisor is the number of groups that we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. So we are dividing into 4 equal groups. Our quotient is the answer, and as Ms. Thaxton shared, it's the number of dots in each group. There are 4 here, 4 here, 4 here, and 4 here. So our quotient is also 4. Questions on that? Okay. We're going to take a look at slide 2, and you're going to have a moment to complete that independently. So go ahead and go to slide 2. I'd like for you to go ahead and solve this on your own. For your dividend, how many dots are there in the whole picture? Go ahead and record your number. So you were working on slide 2. This dividend is how many dots are there, the total number of dots, the total number of items. So start out with how many total dots are there in the whole picture. Your divisor is the number of groups. And I am in the chat getting some messages that this is confusing, and that's why we chose it, because just because it looks different and only has one item does not change the procedure. So here on your divisor line, write the number of groups. Your quotient is how many dots are in each group. So dots per group. So look at one of the group circles and how many dots are inside of one circle. You should have, if you completed this correctly, notice that there are 3 dots. 1, 2, 3. So our dividend is a 3. The divisor is the total number of groups. There are 1, 2, 3 groups. So our divisor is also 3. Your quotient is the number of dots in each group. There's 1 in this group, there's 1 in this group, there's 1 in this group. So 3 divided by 3 equals 1. Alrighty, let's take a look at slide number 3. We're going to work on slide number 3 together. I'm going to take a look at your screens and make sure you are in slide 3 with me. Awesome. Okay. Slide number 3 is asking us to do this.
On slides 3 and 4, you'll see an equation, the dividend divided by the divisor, and you're to find the quotient. You'll also see a number of items up in the corner, and you are to divide them equally amongst the groups indicated by the divisor. Remember, the quotient is the number of items in each group after you've divided them evenly.
Alrighty, so we're going to start off with 12 stars. We have them over here on the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Our divisor is the number of groups. Let's go ahead and draw some groups. I might actually use my shapes tool. I'm going to go ahead and create some groups. Here's one group. My divisor tells me that I need 4. So there's a second group. There's a third group. And there is a fourth group. So I have 4 places to put my stars. I have 4 groups. Okay. Now we're going to pass out the stars, 1 in each group, until we get to no stars left, or until we get to being unable to share them. So grab a star and, oh, you know what I have to do? I have to put the order in the back. Oh, that didn't work at all, did it? Okay, well, new plan. I'm going to get rid of those groups because my stars don't show up. So if your stars weren't showing up, do the same thing. I'm going to draw groups. 1, 2, this is real life problem solving. I don't just say, oh, well, I'll turn in work that doesn't make sense. I fix it. Now I'll be able to move my stars. 1 for the first group, 1 for the second group, 1 for the third group, and 1 for the fourth group. Again, I have 4 groups because that's my divisor. Now I'm going to go ahead and start putting another star in each group again. 1 in the first group, 1 in the second group, 1 in the third group, 1 in the fourth group. They're all equal now. They all have 2. I still have more stars to pass out. So I'm going to do that. 1 in the first group, 1 in the second group, 1 in the third group, 1 in the fourth group. They are equal, and look, I'm out of stars. My quotient is the number of stars in each group. There's 3, 3, 3, and 3. So my quotient, my answer to 12 divided by 4 is 3. Questions on that? Okay, I'd like for you to go ahead to problem number 4 and go ahead and solve this on your own. So here are your music notes that you are going to pass out. There are 18 of them. You're going to place them into 2 groups, and you're going to find out how many fit into each group. Go ahead and solve that equation now. We saw people creating more groups than there were. This divisor tells you how many groups to create. So a lot of you saw me create 4 last time and thought, oh, I'm just going to make 4 again. These numbers have meaning. The divisor is the number of groups that will be shared to. Okay, so 18 divided by 2, so we created 2 groups. Are there questions about that? Okay, we're going to go ahead and look at slide 5. We're going to do one of these, and there's going to be 3 that are going to become your independent work. So let's listen to our directions for slide 5.
On slides 5, 6, and 7, you'll see some story problems where there are a given number of objects that you need to divide amongst a certain number of individuals or a certain number of groups. Remember, you have to make sure each person or each group gets a fair share, an equal amount. If there's anything left over, that's going to be the remaining.
Okay, so remember, there might be some left over. There might not be enough to give each equally. We're just going to leave those off to the side because we know division has to be equal groups, okay? So I'd like for us to take a look at this one right here. Let me kind of point it out to you. We're going to take a look at this one right here. 15 pennies shared equally between 4 kids. That's the one that I want to look at. 15 pennies shared equally between 4 kids. We're going to work on this one together. So here's my pennies down here, and I can click and drag them around. I'm going to put 1 in front of each child until I run out. So I'm going to give 1 to this little girl in the red dress. You do the same. I'll give 1 to this young man in the blue vest. You do the same. I'll give 1 to this young lady in the yellow dress. You do the same. I'll give 1 to this young man in the green shirt, and you do the same. Okay, so we have 4. Now we're going to keep going until we get to 15. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm out of room, so I'm going to add them above their heads too. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. $13, 14, 15. Oh no, that's not fair. Look, this young man in the green vest did not get an extra penny. So guess what? They don't get these. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Because we know that division is sharing equally. So each child gets 3 pennies, 1 on top, 2 on the bottom, and there are 3 pennies remaining. So I'm going to record that as my answer. 3 pennies per child, 3 pennies remaining, because if I were to give these 3 pennies away, that would not be equal. One of the kids would be missing a penny. And we know that division is creating equal groups. So my 3 pennies are going to remain off to the side as remaining pennies. Questions on remaining? Okay, you are going to complete these 3 today during your independent work time. Go ahead and go to slide 6, please. Slide 6. This equation asks you to share 20 unicorn erasers 3 different ways. Here, you're going to share it with 10 people. Here, you're going to share it with 5 people. Here, you're going to share them with 7 people. Again, you might have some remaining. You're going to say how many erasers does each person get and how many are remaining. So let's take a look at this middle one together. I want us to work right here on this middle one, and the other 2 will be independent work. So we're going to work here. 20 erasers shared by 5 people. 20 unicorn erasers shared equally by 5 people. So let's go ahead and take a unicorn eraser, and we're going to put 1 for the first person, 1 for the second person, 1 to the third person, 1 to the fourth person, 1 to the fifth person. Okay, so I have passed out 5 unicorn erasers. I need to pass out 20. Let's go again. Give 1 to each person again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm at 10. I need to get to 20. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm at 15. I need to get to 20. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Hey, look, all my erasers are gone. So how many erasers did each person get? 1, 2, 3, 4. Each person got 4 erasers. How many erasers are left over here? None. There are 0 remaining. You will complete these 2 today during independent work time. Questions on that? Okay. I want to point out that my pictures are very neat. I do not have unicorns half in and half out of groups because that's going to get very confusing. So make sure as you are placing your items that they are very clearly inside of the group space that is designed for you so that your work is easy to read. Number 7 is one problem where you will be sharing ice cream scoops. So you will be able to read this problem here and pass out the correct number of ice cream scoops for each cone. Okay, so that's what you're going to work on slide 7. On slide 8, you are asked to create your own division story. The instructions are here. On the last slide, use all of the Seesaw tools to create a story with the drawing to show equal shares. So just like we made stories about sharing unicorn erasers and sharing pennies, you are going to come up with something that you'd like to share. So what would you share with your story? Okay. Slide 9, as always, is asking you, how do you feel about sharing? Great, I've got it. Almost there, I just need some more practice. Or I definitely need more practice. I'm not getting this yet. Okay, so how will you be feeling? So when you turn in your assignment today, every single question should have an answer. Especially pay attention to the pages that have more than one problem on them. Okay, this is your assignment expectation for division as sharing.